Hey everybody, I'm Darkwing Muffin, and this year I'm pleased to report that in my spare time I have successfully checked 12 games off my backlog, and I'm making this video to explain the strategy that made this possible. Some of you might think this doesn't sound like a big deal, and to those people, this video isn't for you. Who is it for? Well, does this sound like you?
Alright, what to play? Oh shoot, forgot I bought that game. Really should play it one of these days.
But they never did play it. Instead, they chose to play Banjo-Kazooie again for the 43rd time.
Yeah, I have a horrible habit of taking interest in a game, often buying it, and then instead of getting around to playing it, I play games that I've played and replayed to death. It especially becomes a problem when friends of mine recommend games to me, or sometimes buy them for me, and I just sit on them for years, instead playing Banjo-Kazooie again for the 44th time. And all the games I do play are old. For context, prior to this year, the most recently released game I put a significant amount of time into was Smash Bros. Ultimate. A game that is now 7 years old. Sorry to the people who are perpetually frightened by the passage of time. So, if these problems are sounding familiar, maybe what worked for me will work for you. I also just wanted to give a heads up that I am clearly reading off of a script with a very makeshift teleprompter, so if my eyes are darting around between you and down, it's because I can't get my camera any further away to make it, the distance better. I'm doing my best, okay? I have a very tiny room. So, I've never been one to do New Year's resolutions. My family even has a yearly running joke where our resolutions are all like the opposite of the normal ones. Stuff like, this year I'm going to gain weight, or this year I'm going to become a more unlikable person. But last year, my sister sent me a video detailing a new way to do New Year's resolutions. The specifics aren't important, but the general crux of it was don't set one or two big, lofty goals that you have to commit to accomplishing, and sometimes even have unclear steps or nebulous outcomes. Like, oh, you want to be a better person? How? What does that even mean? Instead of doing that, try setting many smaller goals with definitive endpoints and try throughout the year to complete as many as possible. Not necessarily complete them all, but rather get as high a score as possible. This works twofold. One, it makes you set more reasonable goals for yourself, so you're more likely to actually commit to them. And two, it makes it so throughout the year you're continually making visible progress. You can look back and see all the goals that you completed that year, and even if you didn't accomplish them all, you still have done some. Obviously, I translated this into working through my backlog. I created a list of 12 games I intended to beat by the end of the year. I figured one game per month was pretty reasonable. In fact, what made this even more doable was the fact that I had already started playthroughs of 3 of these games and just needed to finish them. For 2 of them, I was already almost done with them, and for the third one, I was about a third of the way through. And, well, I did it! November 25th, I checked the final game off my list and had beaten 12 games this year. I am immensely proud, but honestly, I probably would have been happy even if I had only done like 10 or even 8. The whole point was to check games off my backlog, and I did it. And sure, I did it by the end of November, but there were times where I genuinely wasn't sure I would be able to. Mainly with games like Persona 4 and Bug Fables. I said I was a third of the way through Persona 4 by the start of this year. Well, that was a third of what would become an over 100-hour playthrough. I was chipping away at it throughout the year, but eventually I decided that was taking too long, so I had to lock in and finish it. I would say by that point I was in the latter third, but I thought I was even closer. I was wrong, because Persona 4 Golden has like 3 fake-out endings that extend the game by a couple hours, at least by my playstyle, and I didn't know that until my friend who recommended me the game told me. Bug Fables, on the other hand, just had a lot of content because it's an RPG, and is slower because it's an RPG. It mainly made me question if I could finish because I was getting closer to the end of the year by that point, and I didn't know how long the last couple of games would take. Nevertheless, other games went by quicker than expected. Ori and the Blind Forest only took 7 days, which was perfect because that was the game I played immediately after Persona 4, so the quick finish was a welcome change of pace. And that's another aspect of this challenge? Resolution? whatever you call it, that I like. There's an element of uncertainty throughout the year. Longer games will make you feel like you're taking too long, shorter games will give you hope that you can finish all of them. It's a unique thrill. As I mentioned earlier, I did manage to beat all of the games on my list, and yeah, that was helped along by being nearly done with 2 of the games, which some people might consider cheating, but, this is my list, I make the rules. But really though, the reason I bring this up is that I also have a habit of playing games almost to the end and then not finishing them. It's not nearly as egregiously common as my not playing new games because I need to play Banjo-Kazooie for a 45th time habit, but it has happened a couple times. Adding those games onto a yearly backlog list has 2 benefits. For one, it lets you actually finish those games you left unfinished, and for 2, it pads out your list, which lets you get a head start. It's a pretty good feeling. Again, some people might call that cheating, but those people are what we call gatekeeping pedants, and they don't deserve to be associated with. I'm joking. Kinda.
Hi, it's me from editing. I realized that I intended to include something in the script, but halfway through writing it, I totally forgot, and I only realized after recording the whole video, and I don't feel like rearranging my room to record again. Anyway, I brought up earlier in the video that the games that I do play are old. The reason that I brought that up, that I completely forgot to include in the script, is that because of this backlog thing, I've actually managed to play a game that was released within the past couple of years. In this case, it was Princess Peach Showtime. I think this is worth mentioning because I don't really play modern games much, even though I probably really should. So that's another benefit of this whole thing, is that you can play more of the games that you know you should play, like in my case newer games, but you don't play. That's the whole reason I put that line in the script, and then I completely forgot to call back to it. Good job, me. Anyway, I'm gonna do the thing where I do the music all of a sudden.
And in case anybody was wondering about the details of the New Year's resolution video that inspired this, it was actually a little bit different to this idea, and it is worth talking about since it is a good idea. That video, which I don't feel like looking for again, suggested you try a New Year's resolution bingo. Fill out a 5x5 grid of squares with a goal in each square. The goals can range from something big, like traveling to another country, to medium-sized, like seeing a concert, to something small, like eating a pie. Throughout the year, cross off the goals you complete and see if you can fill out a full row, column, or diagonal. And if you can, how many can you do? Now, I could have made a backlog bingo, which, based solely on that phrase, I kind of wish I did, but I chose a list format because if I went the bingo route, I might have stopped after only 5 games. I mean, I got the bingo, right? Well, anyway, I've run out of things to say about this, so... What's that? You want to hear what I thought of the 12 games I played this year? Oh, no, you don't want to hear my opinions. Nah, come on, you don't really care what I think. Alright, you've convinced me. Here's my 2-sentence review of each of the 12 games I played this year, in roughly the order I remember playing them. I honestly didn't keep track. Link's Awakening DX. A cute and fun enough Zelda game that doesn't really try to push the envelope of what a Zelda game can be. I like the unique story, and I appreciate all the times the game encourages you to slow down and appreciate the world, although I did get lost a few more times than I'd like to admit. Mario Party DS. I already knew I'd like this one. This was actually my childhood Mario Party, at least until it was stolen from me. It's Mario Party on the DS, well-integrated touchscreen and mic games, and a story mode, so you actually have incentive to play the game, especially considering I have this on Wii U, and that doesn't have DS download play. Spyro the Dragon on the Spyro Reignited trilogy. I freaking love playing as a quadrupedal creature running through pretty and creative landscapes! Not exactly what I was expecting, that being more of a Banjo-Kazooie style collectathon where you get collectibles for completing goals, but that isn't to say that this style of more location-based collectibles wasn't fun, except for those ones. You know the ones. Half-Life. It sets up an interesting story with some interesting lore and really cool set pieces, which I appreciate as somebody who's played Portal but never Half-Life, but all of it was just a bit too jank for me to take it seriously. I found out after I played it through Leadhead's video that I guess you're meant to play it slower and more methodically with the tools at your disposal, but I don't feel a replay is warranted enough to try that playstyle. And yes, that was 2 sentences, shut up. Super Mario 3D Land. Beating this game was pretty fun. It has some pretty solid platforming mechanics, but I wouldn't say it was fun enough to do it as both Mario and Luigi. Not to mention some of the later level star coins were more frustrating than fun. Pokemon X. It's a Pokemon game that doesn't have black or white in its title, so as far as story goes, it was pretty meh. But it does have character customization and a studio where you can edit together a PR video for your trainer, which I may or may not have spent several hours working on for nobody but myself. If I feel like it, I might record it and put it here. Isn't that just cute as peck? Speaking of, A Hat in Time. This game was the one I was most excited to replay, and I had an amazing time once again with the incredibly charming worlds, memorable characters, and incredibly fun platforming, while getting all the timepieces this time. Death Wish, on the other hand, was a mixed bag, with a lot of fun challenges, with the minimum jumps challenges being standout examples, and a lot of annoying and frustrating challenges like anything which requires the one-hit hero badge, which I loathe with every fiber of my being, because the last thing a souped-up version of a boss needs is the requirement of literal perfection, and as such I never finished Death Wish and don't intend to anytime soon. And yes, that was 2 sentences. A bit run-on, I'll give you, but it was 2. Persona 4 Golden. Between the incredible wealth of story and theming in the main storyline and the great stories told through the social links, 2 sentences is not nearly enough to express how I feel about the story of this game. But I will at least express that Nanako Dojima has become one of my favorite fictional characters. Unfortunately, as I discussed before, the game's biggest weakness is that it is a JRPG, and the daily lifestyle gameplay you have to get through to see the rich story is not my cup of tea, and I also don't like the unapologetic fan service scenes, those were annoying. Ori and the Blind Forest. This game is a perfect blend of incredibly pretty visuals, simple yet effective storytelling, and excellently satisfying exploration platformer gameplay. If I had one complaint, it's that the early game is a bit tough when you don't have much health and can't set as many soul links, but beyond that, this game is a fantastic experience. And there's an 8 in my script, and I don't know why. Bug Fables. This is the return to the cartoony Action Command style RPG platformers that I and many others have been waiting for. It has a story that's simple enough to follow, but has enough intrigue and twist to keep you invested in this incredibly inventive world with a lovable trio of main characters. See, I am capable of summarizing my thoughts in 2 sentences. I probably should have just made it 3 sentences. What am I doing? Metroid Fusion. The game was a bit tough at times, especially that one section where you have to evade a ridiculously strong enemy with no chance to heal other than beating enemies that themselves do a lot of damage and are hard to avoid, so you're more likely to have a net loss of health, but overall it was a fun challenge. Story-wise, it was pretty cool, with you exploring artificial ecosystems on a spaceship rather than real ones on a planet, but I wasn't a fan of how linear it was, with a computer telling you where to go at every turn, but neither was Samus, so that does create an interesting link between the player and the main character. Might make a video essay about that someday. Wait, that doesn't count as a sentence? Come on, it wasn't even about the game, it was about possible future video plans. Come on, you can't count that. One more game, just gotta get through this, just one more game. Princess Peach Showtime. I will not bow to the naysayers who say nay to Princess Peach Showtime, for I really enjoyed it. I mean, I like Princess Peach, and I like outfits. So this game was basically made for me, and the best way I can break it down is if you watch the trailer and think, this game is for me, then it probably is. And if you think this game is not for me, then it probably isn't. Okay, one last thing for this video, an update about the channel. Obviously, after Ocarina of Time started, I took an unexpected break, as I moved right before the start of the year and lost basically all motivation to make videos. That funk is still kind of there, and I can't make any promises on when I'll get back to regular uploads. This channel is and has always been a hobby, and if I don't feel like partaking, I'm not gonna. Hopefully I upload more this year. I mean, I'd like to finish Ocarina of Time, but if I'm not feeling up to it, I'm not feeling up to it. Alright, that's this video. Goodbye, and good luck on your backlog.